economy on the eve of independence. This topic covers the Indian economy during 1947. Factors responsible: India, the golden bird. Before the British rule, India was a growing and rich country in terms of goods such as silk, handicrafts, precious stones, agricultural crops, and so on. This made the country a good source of exports worldwide. This attracted people from across the river Indus, beginning with the Mughals, the Europeans, and then the British, who ruled for the longest period of time. The Indian economy was systematically exploited during the British rule.
So, before the British rule, what was the status of Indian economy? Before the British rule, what was the status of Indian economy? Anybody from the class? Before the British rule, what was the status of Indian economy? Yes, please. Okay, handicrafts industries were very much developed. Then, what were the other positive points? Yes? Okay, agricultural economy was also good. Okay? And? Prosperous economy. Just it is written. Okay, thank you. Sit down. Here it is written that it was growing. Rich country, and in terms of silk, handicrafts, precious stones, agricultural crops, and many more. Okay, and that is why this country was known as golden bird. We were so rich. We were so rich before Britishers came to our country. That is why Britishers came only. Why Britishers got attracted towards our country? Because India was a very rich country. That is why Britishers got attracted and they came to our country. Okay, so Indian economic condition was very good. Let us proceed.
Indian economy during the British rule. During the British rule, India followed policies which were implemented by the British. The programs which affected the Indian economy were the zamindari system, through which the farmers were exploited, high commercialization and exploitation of the agricultural sector, tough competition from British industries against the local handicraft and the textile industries, the development of the Indian economy as a colonial economy.
Okay, so now let us discuss, students, how our country got exploited during the British rule. How our country got exploited during the British rule. The first one was zamindari system. Zamindars, they used to exploit the farmers of our country. And how they used
Colonial rule. The Indian economy was reshaped into a colonial economy. The well-known handicraft, silk, metal and precious stone industries, which used to be sources of worldwide exports, were transformed to serve the British. It had made India a net supplier of raw materials and the consumer of finished goods from Britain. Studies of the national income and per capita income showed that there was barely half or 1% annual growth in India's development. India's economy was radically altered, and the exports, which were the main component of the international market during the pre-British era, were diverted to serve the needs and demands of the British.
Okay. So what is the first point? You told only that our handicraft industries, our silk industries were developed before the Britishers came to our country. And you know, these Britishers used these things for exporting purpose. They exported this thing from these precious things from India to their own country. Okay. And another thing, it has made India a net supplier of raw materials. A net supplier of raw materials and the consumer of finished goods. Britishers used India to supply as a supplier of raw materials. They used to carry the raw materials from India to their own country. And in their own country, they converted those raw materials into finished products. And those finished products, again, they used to bring to our country to sell them. Because India was a huge market. So, suppliers of raw material, India was a supplier of raw material, and India was a market for finished goods. Okay? Studies of the national income and per capita income show that half of 1% of annual growth of this national income was used for growth of our country. Only half or 1% of the total income was used for India's development. Okay? And India's economy was radically altered. The exports, which were the main component of the international market during the pre-British era, were diverted to serve the needs and demands of the British. Before Britishers came, we used to export to other countries also. But after Britishers came, we started exporting only to which country? England. They used our wealth for serving their own purpose. Okay? So you can understand, students, that how Britishers exploited our country over 200 years.
Stagnant agricultural sector. Agriculture in India remained stagnant during the British rule, even though most of the population earned their living directly or indirectly through agriculture. In the first half of the 20th century, agricultural productivity decreased immensely as there was an increase in famines and floods in the second half of the 19th century. The peasants, tenants and crop owners had no resources for improving agricultural production, as they had to pay higher rents to the landlords. The zamindari policy involved landlords extracting large sums of money from the farmers, regardless of the farmers' poor economic conditions. The farmers were given deadlines to repay their debts, failing which they would lose their land. The use of traditional techniques, more incidences of famines, lower productivity and harmful land tenures were the causes of a disastrous failure in agricultural sector.
Okay. Now students, I want that you will highlight from this slide that how agricultural sector was exploited. Anybody? Kushi, can you tell me from this slide
Poor industrial structure. The colonial policy made it difficult for the industries to survive. This was because there was high demand for cheap finished goods exported from Britain, reducing the demand for local goods. Industries in India began to shut down because of low demand, resulting in reduced employment rates. The growth of the new industrial sector was not easy. However, in the 20th century, cotton and jute textile mills were established. After the World War, industries such as sugar and cement factories and paper mills came up. Later, iron and steel industries developed. At the time of independence, there were only a few industries and they were confined to producing consumer goods. Moreover, India lacked capital goods industries, which is essential for industrial development.
So students, what can you conclude from here? That what was the condition of industrial sector? Anybody please, what was the condition of industrial sector? Was it developed? No. It was also backward, underdeveloped, because Britishers did not pay attention to it. Britishers used the raw materials of our country for the development of their own country. They used to export the raw material to their own country, na? And that is why our industries remained underdeveloped. And there were only few industries.
Poor and backward demographic conditions.
There were only few industries, and especially there was no capital goods industry. Why capital goods industries are required? Because capital goods industries provide iron and steel, coal, electricity industries. All these industries provide the base for construction of other industries. And the Britishers, they did not pay any attention for setting up this industry. But later on, we know that Jamshedji Tata, he came forward, he took the pioneer role here, he understood this problem with the industrial sector of our country, and he set up the iron and steel industry first in our country. Okay?
The British rule pushed India backwards and Indians remained poor. Per capita income or national income was low and growth was stunted. This resulted in low standard of living and an increase in poverty. Basic amenities such as food, health and shelter were not available easily. Birth and death rates were high. This was due to illiteracy, a traditional outlook, epidemics, lack of medical facilities, natural calamities, and so on. All these reflected in social and cultural elements such as poor infrastructure, belief in caste system, and female illiteracy. This affected the Indian economy negatively. Because of the lack of adequate medical aids, diseases spread rapidly and increased the mortality rate. Life expectancy was also very low and extreme poverty prevailed on the eve of independence. Thus, the Indian economy worsened during the British period or on the eve of independence.
Okay, demographic conditions means how was the condition of the people of India during the British rule? What was the condition? Okay, so from these slides, we can highlight few points here. What are those points? Like, per capita income Divya, please.